Listen,
Cars.
the good thing about real
Smart.
estate and like with the right, just businesses, period. Like you want to always have a business because you're entitled to
The
a lot
write-off.
of write-offs. If being a W-2 employee, you're really not entitled to write off anything.
No.
You get your standard deduction. If you're lucky enough, I guess at this point now, since interest rates are so high, you get a 1098 from your mortgage. You may have enough to itemize, but typically if you don't,
Yeah.
like you don't write off anything. But like you said, with a business specifically, especially real estate, the depreciation alone, you know what I'm saying, is a huge write-off.
Welcome to another episode of More Than 94, where athletes redefine success. Today's guest is Ray Henderson. Ray is a native of Stuttgart, Arkansas. He went to Arkansas State and ran track for 4 years. His main event was the 400 meter. He currently resides in Dallas for about 10 years, and he owns his own tax and accounting firm for the last 5 years. Welcome to the show, Ray.
Man, what's good? What's good?
That's
Thank you
good.
for having me.
Thanks for coming on. And so I tell
course.
everybody, like, the gist of the episode of the podcast is to broadcast people that decided not to go professional in their sport from college, and to highlight those that are doing great outside of sports, or like you have your own accounting firm. Just letting like athletes know that you don't have to necessarily go professional in that field that they play college in. So, and you're the first
Yeah.
track athlete we have so far. I think we done basketball for the most part. So I'm glad we got a different sport here.
Listen,
And
that makes
so-
sense since you were a hooper. That makes sense. Makes
Right.
sense.
So just walk us through, how did you even, as a child, get into, was track your first sport, your first love, or how did track come about for you?
Man, it's so crazy. So honestly, I really didn't know much about track. I didn't know you could go to college and run track. Like I really had no idea. And I started out, I wanted to play football. I was going to go to the NFL. Then I hit a growth spurt. I played basketball. I was going to go to the NBA. Growing up, I did a lot of sports. I did mainly like I said, basketball, football, and baseball. I did a little bit of baseball too. And kinda how track came about, I was in, like, middle school, I was, like, 7th grade, so I was playing football for the school or whatever. I was finally out of Pee Wee, so I was playing football in my coach's room. They were like, "Hey, we want you guys to run track in the off season." But during that time, of course, you had to try out for the teams. I tried out for my first track team, and unfortunately, I did not make they didn't even pick me. I was so
I didn't even know you
devastated.
did not know. I just thought you were like in a slow heat or something.
Yes. Nah, they didn't even pick me for a team, so my feelings was hurt, I was devastated, I was like, "You know what? Forget
Oh.
track," because I was always used to being, like, really good, so I didn't get picked, and I was like, "I'm done with track, whatever." Fast forward junior high, same thing, I was playing football, then I think, like, 8th grade, my coach was like, "Hey, we want you guys to run track," so I tried out, made the team at this point, but I guess they didn't really still think I was that good because I didn't even get to I had to compete in, like, the home meets. I couldn't even go to the away meets. So they again, barely on the team. So just so happened, I think we had district, like, in the 8th grade, and I was running the 400, and how I started running the 400, they just basically gave me an event because they thought I was trash. So they was like, "Listen, just do the 400." They was like
Dang.
and
Nobody
so
wants that
I
event.
actually
No
Man,
one.
right? Everybody hated that. So I went out, I won the district meet, and I guess they finally were like, "Oh, well, maybe he is decent." And so I continued running. I ran 9th grade, won district again. I ran on varsity in the 9th grade, and then I progressed through that. And then I found out one of my friends, we found out about AAU track. I didn't even know they had that either. So ran that, went to Junior Olympics, did really good in that. And then, like I said, I really didn't necessarily know you could go to college and run track. I had no idea. And then just so happened, one of my teachers at the time, she knew I was Liz Flanagan. Miss Liz, I don't know if you guys remember Miss Liz. She was the academic advisor at AD State during that time.
Yes,
So
I
my
remember Liz
teacher,
Liz. Yeah.
yes. So my teacher actually reached out to her, sent her they had like a little highlight. Then the coach at the time, which was Lund, they came to the meet of champs in Arkansas. So after you win state, we have what's called the meet of champs. So everybody who wins state, you all meet at the end of the year and do the meet of champs. They came to my event and actually offered me a scholarship, and that's how I ended up at A State.
That's
Oh.
I never knew that. I didn't even. That's crazy. Just how they just play. So we're just gonna put him up here and see what he can do.
Man,
And
it
Hey,
just
you
so
got it
happened
real
kind of
hard to run the
fell in my
400.
Listen, it is. It is very, very, very mental. Like it's the worst butt luck you'll ever have in the last 100 meters. It's like that.
oh yeah, we
I'm
look
about
we
dead about
complained. We used to
200.
have to do a mile for conditioning, and we hated it.
One
Like
mile.
it was terrible.
Couldn't
And we
stand it.
Well,
hated it.
listen,
Never made time.
I I love competition, but I hated practice. Practice was the worst thing ever. We used to just run like repeat 200s. We'd run broken
Yeah.
600s. We used to go to Craighead Park. I know you know Craighead. Like
Yes.
we used to go to Craighead, and Jason used to just make us go out there and just run. Like it was awful, but I just love the art of competition.
Yeah, that's what they wanted me in high school to run track. I'm like, no, I just couldn't get past the whole this and run. Like they don't even sound appealing. Let's go practice run.
It's not. It's horrible. I'm telling you, practice was
Yeah.
awful. Like people out there throwing up, you heard, you just like you absolutely hated it. But when you went to a track meet, probably the best thing you'll ever experience.
Yeah, I've been to one track meet, and it's real. It's especially obviously everybody wants to see the sprinter sprint, but it's I like watching the track meet. Okay, you got to college, and so me and you were in accounting, and we had accounting classes together. So I know you're an accounting major. So when you left Arkansas State, how did you end up doing the whole like accounting firm? Did you always know you wanted your own accounting firm? What was the steps after
So
college for you?
So it was a weird journey with that too. Like I did know I wanted an accounting firm. I knew I was really good with numbers. Is basically why I chose to be an accountant. So once I graduated, I actually my first job wasn't even in accounting. I couldn't find a job, and I ended up working in collections. So I was collecting on car payments. Probably one of the worst jobs ever. But
Oh man.
God bless
listen,
you, man.
I needed a job. Like I got cursed out all the time. I got hung up on all the time. And I was living in Little Rock at the time, but the company I
Oh, I
was
believe it.
working for, yeah, so the company I was working for at the time, they actually had an accounting position open, and it was here in Dallas. So I filled out for it, got the job, did that for probably about a few years or so. I really didn't necessarily I didn't like it because it was really basics. From there, I worked in public accounting. So I did that for a few years as well. And during that time, that really is what inspired me to get my own firm just because I was doing like a lot of tax returns. It was working the crap out of me. Like we used to have a minimum of 60 hours to work during busy season. And it just I wasn't getting overtime, I wasn't getting it paid, but I used to see invoices on what they were charging other people. And
Oh
so I'm
yeah.
like,
I
if
gotta have
they're
that.
making this amount of money, yeah, so if they're making this amount of money, like, why should I work for them for at this point, I'm like, these are pennies. This is chump change. So,
Mhm.
it really inspired me to go out on my own. So I just one day was like, you know what? I think it's time. So I actually, once I left the industry, I switched industries and then I actually started my own firm. So I've been doing that for, like I said, about 5 years. I started real small. I started out doing like just my family doing their taxes, doing
Okay.
a few bookkeeping. So it started out small, but like today it's grown a lot. So yeah, so it's just
For
working
you.
for other people inspired me to do my own.
That's good. What industry did you switch to before you went back to tech work? And then also, are you a CPA? Did you get your
Mm-mm.
CPA license?
No,
Okay. I didn't know you could open up
nah.
a firm without having. You only do taxes though, right? Do you have?
No, I do taxes. I mainly do taxes and bookkeeping. We do
Okay.
like tax planning. Yeah, we one-stop shop.
Okay.
So yeah, we do a lot. But you don't necessarily have to have a CPA. The thing with a CPA, it's basically just a designation. It doesn't allow you to do anything else special, with the exception of if there's like an audit case or something and you have to go before the IRS, a CPA or an enrolled agent can represent you versus a normal accountant can't. But it's you do the same work. It's literally the same exact everything. Because again, when I worked at a CPA firm, the CPA, only thing he did was review our books.
Review.
We did all
Yeah, so I knew that part. I knew they had everybody else doing the actual tax return. You got software for that, and then the
yes,
CPA just looks over to make sure you did your job
basically.
right. And I just never. I was like, first of all, the test costs way too much money to take.
Man, listen,
Listen,
that and
listen, different kind of smart.
I
I'm like, bro, I'm
started
not
out
taking no more standardized tests. I'm out
listen
of school. I'm done.
exactly. I started out, I was gonna be a CPA, and then I started studying and going through it, and I was just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it be
I
on
was
me
so over
because
school and so burnt out, and I knew I didn't need it, so I was like, "You know what? I guess it'll make other people feel better if they say, 'Hey, you're a CPA, but you do the same exact work.'" So it's literally
man,
no differences.
yeah, yeah. So on that job, not job, career change. What was that career? What was that career change, and what was that like? Like any challenges, difficulties on that, as far as going from one industry to the next industry.
It was challenging, but it was like perfect timing. So I was looking to make a change, but I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to go into. I had been praying about it. I'm like, okay, God, what is it that I can do? What do I want to do? Because I had no idea. And so I actually, the last accounting job I had, I got laid off. So I was at this point, I'm like, okay, I got laid off. I want to switch industries. What am I gonna do? And then just it was so random. Like a one random day, this company called me. It's Infosys. It's like a tech company. And so they called me and they were like, "Hey, we found your resume online, and so we want to interview you for a job." Like I didn't fill out for it, never heard of the company. Honestly, the way the interview process was, I thought it was a scam. Like it was so weird
Yeah.
because they're a company that's based out of India, and so I'm like, "Are they trying to scam me? What are they trying to do?"
Yeah.
So I went through the interview process. They were gonna actually hire me for it's called FICO. It's a finance and consulting. It's a module in this software called SAP. So I was going to be doing the same thing of what I was doing, but basically different system. But so my first project that they actually put me on once I got hired, it ended up being a project management job. And I've never done project management, never thought about doing project management, never desired to do it. But so I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And so I got on a project and it turned out to be like, it was like a 4-year project. So I managed a 4-year project. We were dealing with this client. They're in the food industry. They're called Conagra. You probably don't
Yeah,
know them,
Conagra,
but you
they
do.
make
They make like,
sunflower seeds and stuff. Cause
man, they make everything.
Nestle. The only reason why I know my mom used to work for Nestle, and Conagra bought out Nestle.
Yep, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually and they bought another company, Pinnacle Foods, and at that time they brought so my company is a consulting firm, and so basically other clients bring us in and we're contractors coming in and basically upgrading their system. So Conagra contracted my company. We went in, we did an upgrade to their systems. So I like I said, I work with SAP. It's a large ERP system and it's like a one-stop shop. You do like inventory, you do warehousing, you do accounting. It's literally, it does everything. It's like really huge. I got on that project, managed it from start to finish for 4 years. Then, like I said, I got moved around a couple of times. My last couple of clients I worked with were in the railroad industry. The one I'm working with now is CSX, a railroad client. We're doing a large upgrade for them to the new SAP, which is called S4. So we're upgrading them, and that's basically how I got into it. And once I got into it, I was just really good at it. Like I said, I'm really good with people. I know how to deal with different attitudes. I understand how to manage things. I'm a real good manager. Like I said, once I got into it, I just excelled, and that's where I am today.
That's it. Cause I found out we mainly in the real estate side, but like just managing people. If you can manage people, I feel like you can do anything. Cause that's all
Man,
literally
you can
what
do
you're doing.
anything.
Fact.
Just manage
Oh my
people.
No,
If you're a
gosh.
fact.
bad manager, then that means you won't do good at most jobs. Like
Yeah.
we have like I work for a custom home builder, and they got superintendents. The ones that don't really do well are the ones that can't manage people. Managing the contractors, getting out there, a timeline. If you can't do timelines, like
Yeah.
people just it just don't work. So with athletics, how do you think athletics has like kind of geared you to do that? Did being an athlete help you navigate from one industry to the next industry and just overcome any obstacles, obviously, in your career?
Yeah, I think it helped a lot, to be honest, especially with what I'm doing now, because again, I'm managing a lot of people. So it's no different than when you're a senior or a junior, you're on a team and you're the leader. Everyone is looking up to you. So I definitely think being a part of a team helped me a lot because like I said, the teams that I'm managing now, it could easily be 100 to 150 people on my team, like
And
from start to
Goodness.
finish.
yeah,
Being an athlete definitely helps you manage. I think it helps you deal with a lot of different personalities because I deal with a ton of different personalities because everyone isn't the same. It helped me as far as navigating that the adversity of going from one career to another career. It helped me with that as well, just because you look at it like, okay, like when I was in track, I switched events at one point. I went from 400 to 400 hurdles and dealing with all of the challenges with being in a new industry, not really knowing anything. And then also, I think just having that confidence to know, hey, like I'm that guy. I know I can do this and nobody can stop me from doing
hey,
this. And
that guy.
so,
Yeah, I like that. I
listen,
like
Like that's
that.
having
you
that
gotta,
confidence though.
listen, you gotta tell
Yeah.
yourself that I'm him.
Yeah.
Like I can do this. Nobody
Right.
can do this better than me. And
Yep.
that's the same mentality I had when I
Yep.
was on the track. Listen, today is my day, and listen, it's just me.
Yeah.
So I think overall, just being an athlete, it helps me in my career. It helps me in business. It helps me in a lot of different aspects of my life, especially with discipline as well. Because you got to be disciplined. You got to get up in the morning. You got to go to practice. You got to live wage. You got to go to class. Overall, I think just being an athlete just it helps you transition to winning in life, in my opinion.
For sure, because I don't think if you're not an athlete, I don't being a student, a regular student, not saying they have their challenges for sure, but like having the time management, if you're a decent athlete, if you're an exceptional student athlete, meaning that you're getting good grades and you're an exceptional athlete, there's a lot of time management and how to manage your time between sports when that's
Yes.
demanding and school when that's demanding. You got tests, you traveling, whatever. So that takes a lot of just time management for those. Because sometimes it's like, I don't want to say all student athletes because I know some that didn't do quite well, but like, yeah, like for real, like the ones that actually did it in the classroom and on the court, like
Yeah.
you knew who those kids were. Like if especially for girls, like if they were great in the classroom, it automatically translated over for most girls on the court. Like
100%.
they were great athletes as well as great in the
Mhm.
classroom. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah, I can agree with that. I
yeah,
can
so if
definitely
you're
agree
not,
with
if you
that.
If
weren't
you
great
were
in
a
the
lazy
classroom, and then
lazy
boys are
student, then
different.
you were a
Yeah,
lazy
boys are
athlete.
different. You got those freak athlete boys that just can either run, play
Mhm.
football, but are not so good in the classroom. I think, but to be well
But
rounded.
even if you think about them though, you can be really good, but especially depending on which career like that you choose as far as being an athlete, a lot of that's short lived and you have to manage
Right.
that because you can go broke really fast. So the biggest tool for me is just management because to me that's like a principle in life. That's just literally a principle of God, like management. Because if you can't manage what you have, how are you going to get more? So I think I live my life entirely like just trying to manage everything that I have to the best of my abilities.
And that's just like that's a key thing because I feel like yeah that your career is going to end and those kids that didn't do specifically well in the classroom like now you gotta manage life and that's even
What are you
worse.
gonna do? And life hits you fast and hard, being
Oh
an adult, boy.
god, whole
Listen.
Life,
nother beast.
yeah, like they said, life be lifing for sure.
Oh yeah.
Boy, come on now.
So
For
that's I
real.
like that. You just gotta manage what you have well, and then you'll get more. And I use that principle. Now I don't say it that way, but I use that principle for a lot of things. Just even taking care of your stuff. Like I tell them,
Yeah.
like having kids. Like if you take care of this, then you'll get more. But if you don't take care of it, aka manage it, then no more will be
Yeah.
Listen,
given to
why
you.
would God give you more? Why would God give you more if you can't handle
Can't
what you
take
have
care
now?
of
So
what you
why
got.
would
Man,
it
that
don't make
that are
sense.
absolute facts. So
I want to
with
slide
that,
back to something real
go
quick.
ahead, Gigi.
When you said I am him, like sports gave you that confidence to lead all these people to manage them. I think that is so cool because if you don't feel like you're that dude or that girl, there's someone behind you that's gonna try to run for you and possibly slide you about that spot. So you have to
Exactly.
continually throughout life realize that you are her, you are him. Like that track is one versus one. That's you. It's you versus yourself,
Yeah.
Man,
right?
it's a
On
team
all
sport,
your
but it's
events,
not.
and then yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool when you said I'm him. You need that confidence at all times, especially to be a great leader. You gotta have it because you don't want nobody behind you trying to quarterback your situation.
Yeah, I think in
So
anything you do, man, like I said, especially business, when you're running your own business, you have to have that confidence because one thing I've learned about being in business, because I've had a few different businesses now that a lot of people don't like to help. Like they do not really want to
That
share
no,
any gain,
really,
you know, but they want you to just fail. So if you don't necessarily have the confidence to go seek what it is and believe in yourself, I just feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. Some people may call it cocky or whatever you want to call it, but I've always been that way. And no matter what it is that I do, because I feel like I'm gonna win. I always say one of my favorite sayings is winners always
oh
win.
yeah.
So I'm like, I'm in
winners
it to win.
always win. No, for sure you have to. It's not even that cocky. It's
So
just even if it's something, it ain't like you out here broadcasting where I'm him. It's just something within you that you say to yourself. Like you have to know you that person. Like if you
yeah,
don't have
yeah.
confidence, it's just like what's that one quote? Is it the Henry Ford? It was like if you think you can't, if you think you will, or something
Yeah.
like that. I might have got it wrong, but
Okay,
like
preach.
if you, so it's just that's the same kind of mentality. You got to know you can do it. Like my mom always be like, "You think you know everything?" Absolutely, I know. I feel like I can do anything,
Man,
and I know most stuff.
Man, for
And she's
real.
like, "You don't know
listen,
everything." I said, "Listen, it ain't nothing I can't figure
hey,
out. I can't do. I'm gonna
Mhm,
figure it
mhm.
out."
um,
Yep.
listen, even though it's so cliche, but they used to always tell us as kids, like, you can do whatever you put your mind to, but that's such a true statement. That is such a true statement because mindset is everything. And like I said, if you don't have the right
Absolutely.
mindset, how are you going to win or how are you going to navigate the challenges? Because like I said, even if you have your own business or even if you have a job, there's always going to be different challenges and you have to adapt. You have to be very adaptable to all situations. So again, like confidence is key. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know, to me, it's a part of my
Yeah.
natural, just who I am.
Well, that's good. You answered one of my
You
questions.
can't
Like,
tell
how
me
do you
that
overcome? Go ahead, Eddie. Go.
You can't tell me that sports don't give you that mindset just to keep churning. Even when you hit a roadblock, keep
Yeah.
churning. Like, when things ain't going right, back up, figure out another plan. Athletics, like, doing that young and having adversity in athletics and then succeeding, like, pushing through that adversity to reaching your goal, you cannot tell me that does not translate to being a good leader or a great employee. That's just
Man,
what it
just
is. Athletics
a great
is
overall human
so
being.
important.
Like, it makes you a good human being, period. Because I'm like, and when you have kids, you wanna instill that in your kids,
Yes.
or if you have nieces and nephews, you always want them to be confident and just know, like, legit, as they say, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. Again, it's cliche, but it's really true.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
some good stuff. That's some good stuff because I feel like sometimes you got certain people that like you said, don't. That's just being overconfident. It's not being over.
Mhm.
Who else gonna tell you? Because ain't not like people going around talking about you. I'm not. Ain't nobody coming up to you, Ray, like you that guy. So you got to
Yeah,
tell it
nope.
And they
to
not.
yourself.
You do, you gotta tell
Listen,
it to yourself.
Yep.
listen, they wanna hate and they wanna see you fail. I feel like a lot of people, nobody really wants to see you doing better than them. Even if they don't say it secretly, they're like, "Man," like, what they
And I
say, "They
say
praying on my
yes,
downfall."
and I say
Mhm.
that all the
Yep.
time, and I'm like, they only want to help you so much. So we were in, and I have a quick story, but we were in Jonesboro, and like we knew a couple that like they were great when we first starting off. Like, yeah, you should do this, and then mind you, these people probably had way more property than us, but I guess we had caught some momentum and got some properties, and it was like the whole kind of vibe changed. I'm like, oh, so
Yeah.
y'all was only cheerful when we wouldn't as had much as y'all, but if it looks like we was like exceeding, it's oh hold on, wait a minute. I'm just like,
It's a problem.
And I'm telling
my
that's
thing is
how it
that's such a
is.
lack mindset though. I'm just like it's enough for everybody. Like why do people have
Man,
such a lack
I
mindset?
say that all the time. There's so much out here, even you couldn't get all of it if you wanted to. So why stop the
Man.
next person? Or it's way too much. So me, I've never been like that. And honestly, I almost feel like I help so many people in it, and I really feel like a lot of the times I get the short end of the stick, but I don't necessarily let it change who I am because
Right.
in some form or fashion, I feel like it'll come back to me. So I always
Absolutely.
continue. And then, like I said, one thing my wife always tells me is to keep your hands clean. That's our thing. Whatever we do, you keep your hands clean, meaning you don't really get over on people. You don't do sketchy stuff, or you
Nope.
don't really do any of that. You always have to keep your hands clean. And I feel like
And
that
then
is just, helped us so much in life. And at this point,
Oh,
we're,
yeah.
like, tremendously blessed to have what we have.
yeah, and then even your motives though. I feel like that also plays a key. Like you can, oh, I'm only gonna tell them so much information, so they like people have just motives. What's your motives behind it? I'm all about like, what's your motive? And so if your motives
Yep.
are and your intentions are terrible going into it, that's a part of just keeping your hands clean. Like just have good intentions. Like it's plenty of
Man,
people that have
that
come to
part.
us and asked us questions, and we ain't like I could be like I ain't got time. I got 2 kids, but we give away freely in free information because most people don't
Listen,
they don't know
giving away millions of dollars worth of game, like,
and they
legit.
don't
People
realize
don't
that. They don't realize that.
millions
Like
of dollars.
and it be your family member. I have a and she might listen to it. Oh well, yeah. I had an aunt. I had an aunt, right? And I was trying to
Okay.
listen. This is what happened. So we bought my aunt's house, and so before we bought it, I was like, "Listen, you have so much equity in your home. You can withdraw all that equity." She only had a couple hundred. I don't even. It wasn't that much she owed on her home. I said, "Withdraw that equity, pay your house off with the equity that you just pulled out. It was enough for where she could pay her house off." I said, "And then you can pay your car off. My job, pay your car off and your house off." I said, "Then that note, those two things combined, now she doesn't have a house note. She doesn't have a car note. She just has a line of credit. She just has a line of
Yeah.
credit, and she just paying that line of credit back. So she only her combined when she did that, I think her payment was in up like $600 for both of those things because she had that much equity in her home. So she would just gave her game, cut her expenses down,
Mhm.
and then we
Mhm.
later on bought her house, and obviously it paid back that line of credit, and then she got. I mean, we paid her fair. We wouldn't look for no discount. We paid for what it like a little less than what it priced for. But if she didn't do that, like she would have just still been paying it. She would have never paid her house completely off until we bought it. But until we bought
Yeah.
it, I sent her
Ah,
increases. She paid her house off.
dang.
She paid her car off. And then because the situation had came up, she had took a life policy out on me when I was a kid. She was like, "You can have it now, right?" So I was like, "Okay, bet." I put it in a trust, so it goes to the trust. So the beneficiary is the trust. So if I
Mhm.
died, all of it goes to the trust. So I don't get that money, obviously, and then the kids get the trust. But in her mind, she thought because she was giving me the policy that I was supposed to put her name on the,
Give
you
it
know what I'm
back.
saying, put her name on the policy and pay for
Mhm.
policy. I said, "No,
No.
ma'am. And she was got an attitude
Especially
at like, I
you
was
got
like, "You
kids
gave it
too,
to me to
like,
pay for,
my
or I coulda let
kids.
it, or if you didn't wanna do that, then you shoulda just let it lapse and then went on about your life."
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I was like, "But listen," I said, "the game that I gave you, people pay
I
thousands of
paid
dollars for."
tenfolds over.
And I'm just like,
For that,
and it just
yes.
baffled me. I'm just like, "Why?" Like, but and I was like, "Whatever, it's fine." But I guess it's our family, and then just their generation just don't understand what I just helped you do. I didn't save you so much money, and you didn't pay
Man,
off
but
your
listen,
house and your car, and then you finna move. You don't got what?
Debt
listen,
free?
family and this
Free game.
familiarity, it kills, man. Like, when people know you, I feel like they hold you to a different standard and they look at you
Expected.
different versus someone that completely didn't know you, saw you off the street, they probably respect you more. But
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
people know you, they have a different expectation. Because, like I said, I used to own a trucking business too. I did that for 3 years. It was about 3.5 years. And so when I started, I used to have, like, tons of people calling me, like, my family, my friends, and I would just give away all this free game, like, just all the time. And it makes me think about, like I said, when I first started, like, I had one person help me, literally one person. Like, I called tons of people I knew in the business, in the game. Nobody helped me. But then as I progressed, I started seeing people were wasting a lot of my time when I'm giving them games. So I started saying, "Hey, if you want the game, just give me $100. Give me $100. You can have a pick my brain session for 30 minutes to an hour," which I felt like was relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Fair.
And
Yeah.
so once I started doing that, listen, people stopped asking me questions. They
I'm
didn't.
calling. That's a
And
shame.
I'm
That's
like, and the crazy thing, I'm like, "Listen, what I'm giving you about this with this trucking company, the very first load that you'll get, it'll pay tenfolds over," you know what I'm saying?
mm,
All I'm asking you for is $100, but they wanted it for free. And so that's what I say, like, again, somebody I didn't know would easily pay me $100. "Hey, let me pay you for your time." But again, familiarity kills, man. Like, people, they just, I don't know, I guess they hold you to a different standard because they know you, or at
hey,
least
I'm
they know the
they don't
past version
Yep.
of you,
and they
because
just don't see
as you
past you. So
progress.
you some like that mind, like I'm her niece. I'm Nene. Like they can't see past that. Like you still a child. Right. To you I am. That is true. But like, I am an adult. I do know stuff.
You've
But
evolved and you changed. You
right.
changed.
I might need that $100 session. I don't even want to start a trucking
Man.
business.
Listen,
Listen. Is it worth it now?
listen,
Is it
man.
worth to start it now?
At this point, I'd say no, because honestly, we had to sell overall because of the economy. When
Oh.
it was booming, I'm gonna be honest, it was like a gold rush. I had never seen so much money. I had never the level that I started with one truck, and by the time we were done, I think we had like 7 trucks. And I did that over
Wow.
3 years. So we were making like a lot of money. But once the economy started turning, fuel was the main thing that really
Mhm.
took us out. You remember when fuel first went up, people were
Yeah.
complaining about spending $100 in their tank or whatever. But listen, I had 18 wheelers.
Right.
So you can only
Oh, yeah.
imagine how much gas. So I started selling off. I had got down to 2 trucks. At this point, my brother was driving for me. I went and got a CDL myself. I started driving. I didn't even intend on driving whatsoever, but I was like, "Let me drive my own truck, and then it'll help my brother," because my brother basically quit his job and he was working for me. So in my mind, I'm like, "He's banking on me, so
You're right.
let me do what I need to do." But at that time, man, I think we were spending between we only had 2 trucks at this point, and we were probably spending anywhere from 20 to $25,000 a month on fuel alone. You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? So I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes.
on
Yes.
fuel, then listen, labor had went up, parts had went up. Like,
Mhm.
example, we used to get tires for about $300, and them tires went from 300 to 700. And
Mm.
then, you know what I'm saying, the lanes that we were running, example, I we used to go from Dallas to Little Rock. They'd pay us $1,000, easy run, you know what I'm saying, easy on, easy off. That lane had went down. They were starting to try to pay us like $600, $700, and I'm like, I'm making less, everything is more. The economy overall just pushed us out. It just everything was so expensive and they was paying us less money. So at this point, with the way the economy is now, I'm like, "Nah, it ain't even
So,
worth it."
oh,
Like,
so
what
okay,
you're
let's
in though,
yeah, yeah,
well,
that's it. So let's talk about that because your brother quit his job, so now that responsibility you feel like is on you. So what happened to your brother? So like now is we don't have that company more. So how does that dynamic work? Because if
oh, we're still great, man, because when he worked for me, he made more money than I know he ever seen in his entire life. I can
oh, okay,
guarantee you that. Like, he
That's a
was
blessing.
paid significantly.
okay,
Like, my brother was my best driver. I took care of him. I made sure, like, he was always good. Like, I used to give him, like, bonus money, extra money, and of course, he'd get mad and call my mom or something. My mom called me like, "Hey, you need to make sure he good." So
yeah, yeah,
now overall, he made a lot. I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly, he made more money in it than I made in it. We made out well, but he made more than I made. So once we started getting towards the end, he knew it was coming towards the end, so he
Okay.
knew it. So before we actually I sold it and I shut it down, I was like, "Listen, start looking for another job, seeing what are you going to do next," because I'm keeping him like, one thing about my brother, I took him in all the meetings I had, anytime I was talking to anybody, so he understood the game, and I'm always keeping him in the loop saying, "This is the direction that I'm going. So I need you to either." I gave him a couple of options. I was like, option one, you can take over this business. And basically, I was going to work something out with him to where he could keep the truck and just pay me. Or option two, you just find you another job and we just go our own separate ways. And he chose to get another job. I sold it. But the dynamic between us is actually, it brought us closer because we work together every day. And so I think he's thankful for what I've done for him. And I'm also very, very thankful for what he done for me. So now we're still great.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And all that money he made,
Good,
I know
good.
you helped him manage it, right? Huh?
You know what? Listen, we're not gonna get into that because I tried and tried to help this man manage his money, and I think it was coming so fast to where he thought it just wasn't gonna end. So I
Oh,
don't think he managed it as good as he probably should have. I tried to help him, but it
I'm
was
trying.
almost like I tell people,
You gave him opportunity though. That's better
Yeah,
than a job.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
better than a job. Give somebody opportunity. So that's good.
absolutely.
That's great.
yeah. So like I said, it was so good. I tell people it was like we was selling dope, but we was doing it legally because the money was
Listen,
coming in so fast to where I didn't even know what to do with it.
that's hilarious. So at this, like the 30-minute mark, I usually ask. So since you run track, you run in. Let's see. I don't know what's a good race. The 200. I like the 200. So if you trying to
Huh.
run it, if you trying to, and I think I know the answer, but you didn't run the 200, did you though?
Yeah, I
Oh, you
did
did.
sometimes.
Okay.
It wasn't my main event, but I ran.
So if at the Olympics you have it can be you or somebody else who you putting in the race to win you a gold medal. It can be anybody. You yourself,
Oh, I
but
mean, that's easy. Of course, we're gonna put Bolt in there for the 200.
the
We gonna
vote.
put Usain Bolt,
Okay,
the
Okay,
greatest to
okay.
ever do it. That's literally the greatest to ever do it. As far
Yeah.
as 100 and 200, greatest to ever do
Yeah,
it. So that's a
Yeah, I think
no-brainer.
yeah.
Ellie on the if I chose a what about a girl? Who would you put in there for as a girl?
If I did a girl, I'd probably do Elaine Thompson. Elaine Thompson probably for the two, which out
Yeah.
of Jamaica, and I'd probably do either I do Shelly Ann Frazier for
Yeah.
the 100, which is another Jamaican, or
She's
I
cold.
do cold is an understatement, like legit understatement. So let me pick somebody from the US because I'm picking Jamaicans and I am US, but
I'm like,
legit
you ain't gonna play
women.
Alex and Felix. I know she about tired to retire, but she's that
No,
girl.
but see, but no,
Yeah,
Allison
yeah.
Felix legit. So Allison, I would have probably put more in like the 4 and possibly the 2 as well. Like I would,
Okay.
because she, even though she ran the 100, I felt like she was a better 400-meter runner overall. So definitely Allison Felix as far as women. I'd put her in the 4 and the 2, and then if I guess I gotta pick somebody for the 4 because I run the 4. I definitely pick Sonya Richards-Ross, like hands
Oh
down,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, she can step.
yeah. For the 100,
And she,
I'm going with my girl Shakari Richardson.
hey, you know what? Hey, she is the future.
Hey, bro.
She's the
Yeah,
future.
she has to true.
Hey, listen. A little weed ain't hurt
She's
nobody.
the future for sure. Hey, listen, it don't. It calms you down.
Medicine.
They ain't say nothing about Michael
Medicine.
Phelps out there smoking. Listen, they ain't better be on some.
Man, come on now. Listen, yeah, you already
Yeah,
know how they go.
medicine.
You already know how
You
they
got it.
go.
All right, what's some advice you got for that collegiate athlete that's about to hit the road and about to go to real life? What's some advice that you give them looking back on what you did and how you did it, and they're not playing sports anymore, but they got to go get into a field, a career, start a career, start lifing.
I think for one, the biggest thing I'd say starting out is once you get a job, you want to start tackling your debt, any kind of debt that you have, because you
Okay.
don't want to necessarily
Okay.
carry a lot of that debt, especially once you get to a point to where you want to start investing. So get you a job first and foremost. Start tackling your debt, and I would also advise something that I didn't know that I know today is to like get you like an IRA account. And the
Mm.
reason you want to get an IRA account is because you have a 401k, it's definitely not going to be enough for you to retire. But see, that IRA,
Thank you for saying
I mean,
that. For the people in the back, say it one more
it's
time about
not,
that 401k.
listen, it's not even going to be close to enough. So if you're depending solely on that, like you might as well
You
you're going to
you
work
might as
until you
well,
die.
yeah.
That's just
You
it. So
gonna
I'd
be
say definitely get the IRA. And like I said, pay your debt down. And then once you get to that point, get a house like ASAP. Get a house because again, that's to me, that's one of the better investments because of course, it's better than your money just sitting in the bank account and not really necessarily drawing like a lot of interest. You're not making no money, but again, you put your money in that house, the house is going to appreciate it. And like you stated earlier, you're gonna have all of this equity that you can pull out. And guess what? You can start a business, you can buy more real estate. You know what I'm saying? So definitely the main thing, get your finances in order. Because that was the one thing that I didn't necessarily, even though I was an accounting major, my
Yes.
finances were not in order. I didn't really understand a lot about credit. The only thing my mama told me about credit was don't get a credit card. That's
Yeah,
what
and
she
people
told me. You
assume,
went
and
to
also, Ray, people assume that because obviously we both got a accounting degree from Arkansas State, that they teach you that. They don't teach you
they don't.
your finances in counting classes. They teach you what a balance
They teach
statement
you
is, an
the
income
basics of
statement,
of debits and credits. That's it.
debits and
Debits and
credits.
credits, like you said, yeah,
Yep.
and financial statements. But as far as like real world, real life, getting your finances in order is super, super important. So that's the biggest piece of advice I think that I can give somebody is to make sure you have that in order. You want to get that out the way early. So by the time as you start progressing in life, you'll be basically ahead of the game. Cause I didn't really figure most of this stuff out until I was like 30 and I'm 35 now. So I really just got into all of this stuff.
No.
So I'm like, it took me a while to learn it because as I stated earlier, nobody really wants to help you and give you no game. So I had to figure all of this out on my own while wasting a lot of money, wasting a lot of time and making a lot of mistakes. But it helped me and mold me to who I am today.
And that's good because it's also mind-boggling that a lot of people didn't even know how to. I don't know if it's important now. I feel like it's still important how to balance a checkbook. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. No shade to nobody, but I'm just like, I just assumed
It's
that
a
that's
lost
not
art.
shit.
It's a lost art. Yeah. It's a lost art, man.
It's a lot. So
Like just
nobody know how to.
finances, period. People don't even understand the basic budget. Like, I talk to people a lot of times, I'm like, "Listen, how I set up my budget, like, my bills gotta be paid first and foremost. Like, no matter what, you have to pay your bills, and a lot of people don't understand that concept, and then another thing, like, some really simple is most people have 1 bank account, and if you have 1 bank account, you'll be all over the place as far as trying to manage your finances because especially if you're using debit cards, you might swipe it, it'll come out to 4 days later, you think
That
you have
part.
money. Listen, I used to be when I first got out in the world, I used to stay overdrawn, like, it was terrible, but I started understanding, so I have, like, multiple bank accounts now, and the reason
Yeah.
I did is because I have a bill account, I have a personal account, so it's in a sense, soon as
Yep.
I get paid, I know exactly like, I break my bills down to basically 2 payments a month. Like, I take half out of my first check, half out of my second check, that automatically goes into my bill account. Whatever is left over is mine to whether I wanna save, what I wanna invest, whatever I have to do, and so
Yeah.
that way I'm not, worried about, again, I swiped this and then it come out to 5 days later, I thought I had this money and now I'm like negative $300.
Yeah, that when
Yep.
I tell you we
Yep.
deal with that with tenants, I'm just like, this is messy. Cause then they'll be like, cause the payment processing is, I said, it takes 3 to 5 business days. So if you don't, if your money is not in there, it will not take out the rent. It has to take the full amount out. So I said, if you need it to be taken out immediately, you can withdraw it from your account and just go put it straight in our account. Cause they just like people just don't realize it's not an instant thing. Everybody wants an instant thing, and I guess I don't know. I've never had a chime. I don't know if chime works that way or not. But I'm just like,
Man, let me
learn
tell
from
you right now, Americans, Chime is not a banking account. Go to a brick and mortar credit union, become a
Man,
member, build a relationship with the
Yes.
people at the bank. Please stop
that's
using
key.
Chime.
I'm just now learning about that too again. I didn't know about that. I just got in a credit
Yes.
union, what, a couple of years ago, so I didn't know anything about none of this type of stuff
Yeah.
because nobody really tells you that, and the people who
They
do it,
don't.
it's like a secret. They don't want you to know. I'm just
And
like,
then it
"What's the
blows
It's a
my
secret.
mind. It blows my
Right.
mind how people just keep holding on to this information and just don't want nobody else to know. And I feel like that's just a disservice. Anyway, I just
It
feel like it's a
is.
disservice. And so, like,
My husband's dad goes into the bank account. He's like, I want to buy this tractor. Right? I'm like, okay. Then go to Kubota and they'll finance it for you. Oh no, I'm going to my bank.
nope.
I said,
That is
okay.
Yep.
And
He
That
said,
is
take
correct.
me over
that's
there.
the best way.
Yep.
Best way. Like I said,
So I took him
I
over
just
there.
recently got a new
He walks into
I
the
just recently
bank.
got a oh my bad.
This man says, let me speak to the president. They're like, huh? Go get Martin. Mark come out. Hey, Bill, how you doing? He's like, hey, man, I want to buy this tractor, $30,000. He's okay. Well, come in here, sit down. Fill the paperwork out right now. I took him to Kubota, bought the tractor the same day. Because he had been banking at the
And
same
he
institution
went with
for
the
30
check in
years.
hand. That's the thing. He had the check right there, like, "Here, I don't need you to run my credit. I don't need your finance.
Nope.
Here's my check."
Nope.
Yep.
Yep.
It
And he
gives you a
had
lot of
that
leverage with
relationship.
that too.
Yep. A lot of
Yep.
leverage. I had a
Yes.
cousin call me. She wanted to buy a car. Simple thing, car. I said, okay. I said, "Do not do financing. I think she had a credit union. I said, don't do the financing at the dealership." She's like, "What you mean?" I
No.
said, "You don't have to take their
Mhm.
financing." So people think they
Write the
have to
check.
take their financing. I said, "No, you don't." I said, "Go to your bank and see how much you're approved for a car. They're gonna give you a check, and that's what you're gonna go to that dealership and say, I got X amount of dollars. You gonna give me the car, and I bet you they give you that car.
That's it.
I bet you how much you want
That's
to
it.
get.
Man, listen.
They need a sale."
Listen,
Yep.
I'm telling
Yep.
my first
Yep.
time doing it was, like, not
Yeah,
long
for
ago. I
real.
was just mind blown because I went in there, they was like, "Oh, we can do this, we can do that." And I was like, "Oh, wait, hold a minute, hold up. I got my own check." I'm like, "And this is all I got," like, legit, and I was like, "Here's my check, you can pick it out. I'm telling you what I have, and basically take it or leave it." And what did they do? Like you said, they took it.
They took it. They
That's
go
so
every single time. I don't care where you go. They're gonna take it every single time. And your your interest
yes.
rate gonna be less at your home bank too. And we also tell people to do like community banks. So the banks that's in your community and it's not big banks, right? Because big banks
Mhm.
are gonna be
That's
a
see,
little
I need some game from you because see, I need to learn a little bit more. I ain't got that deep in,
yeah, you want to go
like
get build those relationships with those community banks because the community bank, their main responsibility is to fund the community. It's not
Yeah.
like your Chase and your Regions. Those
Yeah,
are not
they don't
community
care
based.
about you.
Yes, so you want to go to those little community banks and
They don't care about you.
and build relationships with them, and that's a good job that like Jabari has that. He does really well with going to meet. That's not my thing, but going to meet them, have lunch. I'm like,
and he has the gift of gab. The boy has
yes,
the gift of
yes,
gab.
and
Like
he goes,
legit.
hey, he gonna go eat lunch with you. He gonna go all the things.
Ooh,
And
good
so
for
that's
them.
how we do like tag teams. So Jabari will go schmooze them, and then I just take care of if we, for example, we
The
have built one of
business.
our rental properties. Yeah, and then I handle the books, and then we also have a CPA. So I don't do my own taxes because real estate is a whole other thing. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna need somebody else to, and
Yeah.
different kind of write offs and depreciation. And I struggle to intermediate 3 accounting, so I still go ahead and do it. So we have a tax account, and I tell people also like our tax account. He also owned real estate, so we look for an
Yeah.
accountant that knew what it looks
It
like to be
works.
a renter or landlord. So he does a great job. But yeah, go to those community banks. We have a Regions account. But we don't really use it. They don't hold any of our like loans. Only the community banks hold our loans.
Yeah.
And so that's how we started off. It's just a community bank, literally.
Yeah,
And now
like people
Simmons
don't
is now in
understand.
Texas. We use Simmons in Arkansas. We live in College Station. They have a Simmons in College Station. So guess what?
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
who homeboy at Simmons finna hook? We bought our house that's in College Station. We bought it in our trust, y'all. We ain't even in our name. It's in our trust name.
Wow.
Like, hey, come on now. Come
And
on
so
now.
we bought it in there. So technically, low key, I'm like, listen, I could write off stuff that I bought for the house because it's in the trust. It's not in my name. So it's not necessarily
Listen,
person.
the good thing about real
Smart.
estate and like with the right just businesses period, like you wanna always have a business because you're entitled to
The
a lot
write-off.
of write-offs. And being a W-2 employee, you're really not entitled to write off anything.
No.
You get your standard deduction. If you're lucky enough, I guess at this point now, since interest rates are so high, you get a 1098 from your mortgage, you may have enough to itemize, but typically if you don't,
Yeah.
like you don't write off anything. But like you said, with a business specifically, especially real estate, the depreciation alone, you know what I'm saying, is a huge write-off. And then I said, I know you guys have the short-term rentals with the short-term rentals. It's this thing called a short-term rental loophole. And basically, since you do have a short-term rental, you can do what's called like a cost segregation. And a
Yep.
cost segregation is basically instead of just the normal depreciation, it's like bonus depreciation. You have certain things in your house that are not going to last like that 27 years. Well, I think it's 27 and a half years you depreciate a house, but there's certain things that's not going to last. So you can depreciate all that in the
Up
first year.
front.
And the good thing about depreciation is depending on if you go into a big bank and you want a loan and technically write-offs count against you when you're trying to borrow. That's the side of it people don't talk
Yes.
about. But if you
Yes.
have depreciation, see, depreciation doesn't really count against you because even though it's a write-off, you really didn't spend the money. So
Right.
therefore they add it back in. So like I said, you can get the depreciation, and especially if you're like a real estate professional, like in you guys' case, like Devar, I know he's a
Mhm.
realtor, you get all of the write-offs versus
Yep.
if you're doing it passively,
So
you can
much.
only write off your losses up to your amount of
Um.
income. So basically you can break even.
Yeah.
You don't really take a loss, but the loss is where truly it helps you,
The
you know what I'm saying,
benefits.
on your taxes because of course your W-2 income is going to reduce your taxable income and in turn you're going to get back more of a refund. So I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
definitely
And that's what I just told my brother just called me the other day. Now we talking about taxes. And he's a high income earner, and him and his wife are high income earners. And I said, listen, I said, you need to find somewhere to put your money. I said, because you're going to get taxed. I said, y'all are not. I said, y'all are making too much money, and they gonna want your money. Like the more you make, the more tax you're going to pay.
No, they're going to get your money, not want it. They're going to get that.
Get
The
your money,
IRS, you
right?
don't want to play with
And
the
I said,
IRS.
and I kept stressing to him. I said, y'all need to find something to put y'all money in, because y'all need to set up as a business, because they have 2 rental houses that we bought our aunt's house together, but it's in their name because they had a better rate because they're military, the veterans. And so they have another one, but it's in their name. I said, listen, and they called me yesterday. My brother was like, bro, we owe all this money in tax. I said, bro, how much it is? I ain't gonna say it on here. He was like, it's like 20. Like, I'm gonna tell you, listen, he probably ain't gonna listen to this anyway. It's like 20K in tax. I said 20K. I said, Neil, I told you. He said, how y'all never had to pay no taxes? I said, Neil, I said, first of all, we have 6 tax returns. We have our personal tax returns, and we got 5 tax returns. And then our entities have their own tax return. Mm-hmm. Y'all have 1 tax return. Y'all's property are in your name, so it's all like any profit that you're getting.
He can't write it off. Yeah, he can't write it off.
Any profit that you're getting from those houses, that's taxable income, sir, and that's adding to it. And I get that we had that set aside. We know that. I said, but again, they can't really. The way they rates is, I was like, I need to try to find a way to get those houses in under a LLC. But I said, I told you I need to figure out get a business. I don't know what business it is, and try to but y'all don't, or get some real estate. I just said real estate, and I was like, y'all gotta find the real estate deals. He said, his wife is on that Dave Ramsey. I said, that Dave Ramsey is
oh God, that dude.
The Dave Ramsey, don't get me wrong, it's good, but that cash is king. Listen, no, you're gonna have to use debt, and you can leverage that. It's not a leverage. There's no way you paying cash for everything. It's okay.
That's cool.
It's gonna take you a long time to get somebody. It's gonna take you a long time that way. But like I said, see, part of what I do in my firm is basically like I take someone like your brother. If he came to me and said, "Hey, this is what's going on," and so we strategize. Okay, what can you do to get this down? Because either way it go, you're gonna spend the money. Either you're gonna spend the money on taxes, or you're gonna spend it on something that you actually want, and it's gonna help you with your taxes. But either way it goes, you have to spend the money.
Yes.
And so you might as well spend the money on something that you want to do. So my wife is on, we have a business together. And so anytime like we go travel or anytime we're out having lunch, listen, I'm writing off everything. Guess what? She's a member of the LLC. And so we're having business meetings every time we go somewhere. So all of that is a write-off, and we were going to spend that money regardless. So why not use it as a write-off?
Because you only got to have a couple conversations about we only have to mention real estate a couple times, and it's considered a write-off.
Man, listen, that's it. That's it. That's literally, that's it. So like I said, I think the business, man, people don't understand the tax code was made for businesses. Owners. Like it was legitimately.
That's why I told him, I said, listen, as an employee, you get taxed on your gross. As a business, they get taxed after their expenses.
Exactly. You don't get taxes on the net.
And then the first time it hurt us, write-offs, like you said, when you had said something about like writing off stuff, I said the first time, because we showed a loss on our taxes. I said the first time it hurt us, we had been showing losses up to, I don't know, a couple years. It hurt us just because our income had decreased. We moved, so our income was not as high, and then our losses. So then the bank was like, we can't really loan you nothing because of that part. But now and so that kind of bit us in the butt. That's the only time it kind of bit us in the butt as far as the write-off.
But see, to really even take it a step further, if you get to a point to where you're making that much money, see, then you want to actually switch over to an S corporation. Because see, once you get an S corporation, you have to put yourself on payroll. And so once you put yourself on payroll, it's the same as if you had a job, because you're going to already be paying Social Security tax, Medicare tax, and you're going to be paying federal taxes on the money that you're actually paying yourself. But see, the good thing about an S corporation, where it saves you, so you only have to pay yourself what's called a quote unquote reasonable salary. And anything outside of that reasonable salary, you can take distributions, and the distributions are actually completely tax free. Like I said, once you always tell people, you start out as an LLC, you may take some losses, but once you build, then you know what I'm saying? That's why you need a good accountant, because as you grow and as you build, your tax strategy is going to continue to evolve and change. Like how you started is not going to be how you finish. So
right.
Like I said, it's so much that goes into it. And like I said, at this point, I've gotten really good at it, and it benefits me. And it's just something that I really love to do.
Yeah, that's good, because I knew about that, because I worked for a lady in Jonesboro. And hers was a corporation. It's a temp service, but I worked for the payroll. I did the payroll and all that, so I seen all of that. Like she didn't pay, so she got paid weekly, but she also gave herself since she was incorporated, she had to do distributions like shareholders kind of situations. The shareholders were the two owners. And so they gave themselves distributions at the end of the year, which was so much money.
Tax free.
And
It's tax free too.
It's the only thing I think the only thing that came out of it is like FICA taxes, maybe. I think it was FICA.
Honestly, no. So the distributions, you really don't have to take anything because, like I said, the thing is, you're already paying that when you're paying yourself on payroll. You know what I'm saying? So once you pay it on payroll, again, because see, normally if you had an LLC, that net profit that you had at the end of the year, you'd pay taxes on all of it, which is like 15.3% of Social Security and Medicare taxes. But now that I'm doing distributions and let's say I'm paying myself half that is salary, I've saved myself all that money, you know what I'm saying, in taxes. But like I said, a lot of people go to, I guess, tax preparers because anybody can really
prepare your tax.
Basic tax return. Anybody can prep it, but they don't necessarily understand the strategy behind it and what you need to do to actually utilize the game and your, you know what I'm saying, benefits. So it's super, super important. And I tell people, I even tell my friends, I'm like, listen, you guys have access to an accountant that a lot of people don't have, so you should use it. Like you literally could just call me up and ask me anything about taxes, and I'm like, y'all don't really do it, but hey, if I was an accountant, if I knew one that I could call, boy, what?
Right, I tell her, that's what I'm talking about. People, I was like, go to your tax accountant. And sometimes it's just the way we've learned, like, depending on who you go to, they told us never. It's not like never ask the question. Was like, how can I? Don't say. It's like, how can I save on tax? It's not. Is there a way we can save on tax? No, you feel them. How can I save on taxes? It's just the way you phrase the question. Yeah.
So you mean tell me I shouldn't go to H&R Block?
Absolutely not, Angie Kreiner.
Absolutely not. You should not. Listen, H&R Block doing, you might as well do it yourself.
You might as well do it yourself.
Facts. Give me a
But you know what? Listen, guess what? I do the same thing. I got the whole one-stop shop, man. You know what I'm saying? But see, people.
Hey, go get your taxes prepared by Ray.
Listen, they want to cheap out too, because a lot of people, they want to cheap out. Like taxes is one thing you shouldn't cheap out on because you could be leaving money on the table.
I agree.
You can open yourself up and expose yourself to like audits and different things. Because if people don't explain to you what they're doing, there's a lot of these quote unquote preparers I heard, they'll just put all kind of illegal stuff on your return and you just like, oh, I got a big refund, but I have no idea what they done. And then when you're auditing, you got to pay that money back. You're just like, you didn't tell me. So that's the importance of having a tool. People you need an accountant and you need a good attorney. Like those are two things that you just two people you need on your team at all times.
That's so true.
Get you out of a lot of stuff and save you a lot of money. But like I said, people cheat, man. I'm gonna be honest, people cheat. And they cheat on the wrong thing.
So if somebody need their tax prepared when they listen to this, tell them where they can find you at.
Listen, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's Rayhen, RAYHEN _ DGOAT, THEGOAT. And then, of course, you can find me on Facebook, just my name, Ray Henderson. Don't have any other social media. I probably need to, but I'm a little old school. I don't got TikTok. I don't have none of that. But like I said, you can definitely, Instagram is probably the best way to contact me. And then, like I said, you can click my link, get set up on my site, my portal, all that. But definitely, listen, I am the man. Like, yeah, I'm him. What did I tell you in the beginning? I'm him.
He is him. When
I'm him.
I'm gonna call. I'm had your boy ask you all kind of questions. You listen.
Listen, because I need to ask y'all some questions, so we need to ask each other. Because when I sat down with him, I was like, "Yeah, I got to get some game from you, man." I think
I can come to have these babies. I have to watch the kids.
It's all good, man. It's Mama Bear. It's all good.
So, what's your firm called, though? What's your firm called?
It's called Henco Tax. HENCO Tax. It's Henco Tax and Accounting.
Okay, do you do like all virtual, or you have an actual place?
No, it's it's all like my office is here at home, but it's basically everybody I do it's all virtual. Like probably 95% of my clients are all virtual. I have some that I meet with. We'll probably meet. I have like a little office space that I meet in, but 95% of the people I do, it's all virtual. Matter of fact, some of these people I've never even met. Like we've literally never met, but I somehow like people, they always find me on social media, and then once we get on the conversation, you can tell I know what I'm talking about, and we just go from there.
Yeah, I for sure know you. Hey, from this conversation, I can tell you already.
Yeah,
listen,
a lot of people. Taxes is boring and all that. That's still boring for somebody saying they love it. Listen.
Listen, I do, man. It's a game. I always tell people, listen, it's a game. Like, how much money can I save you? And then, of course, even for the ones, if you think I'm a little bit expensive, the money that I save you is going to be well more than what you pay me. That's always my goal. I want to save you much more. Basically, you was going to pay it to the IRS or you was going to pay me. You might as well pay me.
You might as well pay him.
So
Listen,
that's
You right.
hey, pay
Right.
him because that's the he that guy.
he is him.
That's hilarious. All right, y'all. That's game. Thanks for coming on, Ray.
Free game.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. It's been great. So thank y'all.
See ya.